Hey everyone, how are you doing? Can everyone hear me all right? Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So welcome to the final session of the day. I hope you have all had an amazing day and you've gleaned some really great insights for your business or your potential business and identified ways in which you continue to innovate and grow. This final panel is our Fireside Chat. So what that is we are focusing on successful founder stories that are shaping the industry. Please join me in welcoming two incredible entrepreneurs, Camilla Barnard, the co-founder of Root Health, and Gaunt, the founder of Hero Wellbeing. And me, Amy. So my name is Amy Rushworth and I am a confidence coach. So I do coaching, retreats, speaking, online programs, everything confidence. So that's who I am and I'm here to host. So let's go back to the beginning and start with getting started. So I know some of you in the audience might be getting started in your wellness business journey. You guys are going to have the best time and you're going to learn loads. So Camilla, my first question is for you. You launched Root Health in 2005 after spotting a gap in the market for a muesli that was both healthy and appetizing, and one that you actually wanted to put in your body. At that point in time, this was a really unique model. So thinking back, what were some of the roadblocks that you encountered in terms of convincing people about your product, and how has that changed now?
I think we were blessed with total ignorance. So we had no idea that the cereal shelf was dominated by large multinational players and was therefore one of the most difficult places to get to in the supermarket. We were also wildly idealistic, so I had absolutely no intention whatsoever of going into the supermarket until somebody opened my eyes and said, actually 95% of cereals are sold there, so if you want to get off the kitchen table, that you're going to have to. And I think what else? And then I think long term. So I think actually going into it without, I suppose what I'm saying is we didn't have an amazing business plan. There was no spreadsheet. We made a muesli we thought was amazing. We got a friend to do some packaging and we took it to the local delicatessen and did tastings. And that was our research and we still do that. And then, so actually just do it, just get on with it. And then it was a sort of, I think what at school got me all my bad reports, which was all, contrary, doesn't really listen, doesn't do what she's told, all the kind of stuff, actually is what's probably been my greatest business skill, because every time something doesn't work, I just kind of dig in. Not loudly, but I'm just like, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to let that one go. And actually, that's been probably, the most sort of powerful thing in just hanging in there, quite honestly, sometimes, and not giving up when it probably would have been quite a good idea to give up sometimes. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I could see a lot of myself in both the report card and the business approach. But kind of just continuing from what you said, what were some of those setbacks that attitude allowed you to kind of overcome or get through?
Well, I mean, we started end of 2005, 2006, and I had a baby and an 18-month-old daughter and a husband who was also doing other things. It was all happening. And so we had 18 months of sort of part-time, will it work, quite fun. And then we thought, actually, it will work. Let's go for it. Let's really throw ourselves into it. So we threw ourselves into it, raised a bit of money from friends and family. This was at the beginning of 2008. Redid all the branding. We had listings with Waitrose. We had listings with Tesco's. It was all looking amazing. And then Lehman's went down. And we had pretty much nothing. If Waitrose hadn't stuck to their word and kept the listing, I don't think we'd be here today. So that was a major setback. And that wasn't like a one-hit wonder. That was like 3 years of pain because who wanted a new premium food brand? Nobody. They were all rushing out bargain basement value ranges. So that was a massive test of faith. And that was our single biggest long-term major kind of, do you really want to do this setback? 3 years ago. Yeah, I do.
Amazing. I'm sure it must have instilled some confidence in you to overcome that, though.
I think, what did it do? I think it did a lot of things, actually. It made us realise from a business point of view what was really important, because you have to compromise on everything else. but hold on to the bits that really are important. And it made us really focused on not wasting money. We're pretty lean still, really clear about what you actually need and what really is actually just a nice to have. And and then you've survived. You have survived. So it's not like you come out thinking, wow, I'm amazing, but you think, okay, still here. There's something there. I think, I don't know what would exactly. I have terrible self-esteem. I'm only getting there now, but I think it probably does help. So that a lot of people went under. A lot of people didn't make it. So you do think, okay, well, we did it. Great.
Yeah, great.
Good. Good, keep going. But then you're always also hugely aware that however good it is now, you don't know what's around the corner and you don't know whether you're going to be able to do anything about it or not. Mm-hmm. So sort of realistic confidence, I suppose.
Yeah, you figured it out. I like that. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, Joe, Hero has quickly established itself in the workplace, wellness and professional sports sectors, securing over 100 clients across the UK, including the NHS, HSBC, Legal and General, despite only launching last year. So, pretty amazing. What do you think has been the key to building your brand momentum and securing those opportunities?
I'm just checking, did I get my first job of my only job, turning the microphone on? Yeah, I guess it sounds really glamorous, but again, it has been a pretty amazing year when you kind of headline it like that. But, we certainly made lots of mistakes. And I guess looking back on this first year, I guess I'm more looking at the things we could have done better, should have done better, things in ways we could improve. So, it has been a really great first year. And I'd guess if I were to sort of summarise the things that have gone well, I think I've been really lucky in my career. I've worked for some brilliant entrepreneurs, very mission-driven businesses, and I only wanted to take the step of starting a business if it could be something that I really, really believed in. So something that I could put my heart and soul into, and also in a realistic way build something that was commercially viable and something that I felt really at the crux of it could genuinely help people. I am a bit of a tree hugger. I genuinely love helping people, so it's sort of it's part of who I am, and so that sort of had to be part of it. If I've got 4 children, left a great company that I worked for before, and I just decided, if I'm going to do this, it's got to be something I really believe in. I've got to believe it's viable, and I've got to be obsessed about it. I've got to make sure that, whatever variables or influence I can have, whatever I can do to control the successes of this first year, then I must take ownership of that. So, as a result of that, I managed, first of all, to recruit some great people, starting off with an amazing COO who I never thought that I'd be able to sort of acquire at this stage of the business. And as a result of that, then some more great people who were mission-driven and really cared about what we were trying to do, which is genuinely try and have a positive impact on people's lives. So, I guess that was the foundation of it. And then it really does boil down to, for me, just relentless hard work and focus. There's a big difference between knowledge and execution. So what I mean by that is there's lots of smart people. Well, I've been here for a few hours. I've learned loads. I've chatted to a few different people, and some really smart people who understand wellness. Having the ability to then execute on that knowledge to make things happen, I think, is a whole other thing. And through having a great team, we've managed to have some successes with that in this first year. Again, through I guess being mission driven, and then just working really hard and focusing on it. Amazing. So passion, hard work, constant action. Yeah, pretty much. I've got 4 children, so the oldest is 6. I've got 6, 4, 2 and 11 months, so it's either that or this, and that's my life. You know me really well already now, so that's pretty much it. So I guess it all ties in really. My wife is she's a personal trainer. I talk to my children. I'm watching them grow up and thrive, and learn about being healthy, or sort of the challenges that life brings. And I see it all as one thing, really. As you're just always trying to have a positive influence, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told you I was a tree hugger. Yeah. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So, question for both of you. Looking back to the early stages of your business, obviously in different times. Yep. Of the kind of landscape of wellness, what were some of the sacrifices that you made in order to follow this path of entrepreneurship? I mean, it's a really clear one for me, because young children, business, I didn't do anything for myself for about, I think it was probably almost 8 years.
Wow.
which is quite a long time and not a brilliant idea, but it's really hard at the time because there's just too much that needs doing. So you do it, you get on with it, what needs doing, and it's only either you start to collapse or there's a bit of headroom when you kind of go, oh, I've actually forgotten what I want. You know, and that's, so then, yeah, I mean, it's been an absolute joy having, and I mean, once the business started to thrive, we had, same as you, really important, really good people, and once you're able to sort of leave them, kids are a bit older, leave them, and just, you know, take a bit of time, that's been, I mean, God, I've appreciated it like I never have before, you know, just being able to think about, oh, what do I want to do? What do I want? It's been brilliant, yeah, but that was what went. At the beginning. It's obsessive. And I didn't mean it to be. I don't know if there's any way around a startup being obsessive. I haven't met anyone who's managed to do it as a sort of balanced lifestyle for the first couple of years. Yeah,
yeah, I guess for me, I think Lara Morgan's here. She said it in the last session. That time is the most valuable commodity, and I would definitely wholeheartedly agree with that. So I guess when you're balancing out your life as well as trying to run a business, you know, if you miss a parents' evening, or you miss that final pitch that you then didn't get, or you miss, you know, other things, it's all a big balancing act, I guess. So for me, your compromise is always around time or management of your time to make sure that, you know, you can you can sort of do the whole thing as much as you can.
So time, precious resource.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's kind of switch gears and talk about money, because everyone always wants to know about money, right? So fundraising and capital specifically. Camilla, with Rude Health, you didn't take any funding for the first 2 years.
No.
So looking back, what kind of impact did that have on the growth of the business, and what advice would you give to a new business around funding?
I think there's different ways of doing it, but and it's not necessarily a right or wrong, but our way, because we didn't know what we were doing. We were completely learning on the job. Neither of us had done this, but we neither made anything before. It was myself and my husband. So it was a whole new world. And actually having no money was incredibly good because it meant we did the learning super cheaply. And then by the time we actually needed money, we were really clear what we needed it for. Like, it was something we specifically needed to do that we needed money for. I think if you get money early, you spend it, because there's a million things you can spend it on. So for us, in our situation, that was ideal. I mean, I think if you have a different type of startup, you may need the money at the beginning, but actually super good discipline for us. And it wasn't that easy because it was pre-crowdfunding when we were around, so it wasn't particularly easy to get hold of money. And then after 2008, it was particularly difficult to get hold of money. Yeah. Nobody was doing much money lending.
Yeah.
So that was our experience.
Amazing. And Joe, you've very recently completed a £1.3 million investment round. So what was that part of a clear strategy, and how did you prepare for that?
It was definitely part of a clear strategy. I don't think I was prepared for how hard it would be, or how long it would take, or, you know, how many no's I would get, or how much failure I experienced throughout. But no, all joking aside, you know, we for us, we have a really bold vision, and we're trying to do something really broad. We think that health is a really personal thing, so we're all in a different state of physical, mental, social, financial health, and we were trying to occupy a space that's preventative and allows people, either through our technology or services, to really personalise what their wellness means to them. So I don't believe in being like, you know, follow these rules. These are the golden rules of wellbeing. To me, it's like, understand yourself, and then learn how to manage your life in a way that's meaningful to you based on where you're at with these things and how they can change and how you can make little but meaningful sort of steps in moving them forward. Now, hopefully on some level that makes sense, but again, trying to convey that to investors who are like, right, yeah. So what's it like? Who are you selling to? And, you know, who should I think of you as? And, you know, it's really difficult for investors who very rightly want to see a return on investment and want to understand your marketing strategy, your target audience, when they're going to see the return. It's really difficult when you are sort of trying to create something that you feel is genuinely innovative in its approach for people to then understand it. So again, it's a great headline, but, you know, we worked really hard to get there, and we've already spent some of the money before we've got it to keep going, because it took longer than we thought it would. But yeah, it is a clear part of the strategy, and I guess for us, we don't think we're solving a local problem in terms of, you know, the wellness challenge. So we want to use the funds to help us grow internationally and expand out.
Yeah. And did you, just out of curiosity, how many no's did you get before you got a yes?
Do you know, everyone in investment world is very polite, so they actually say no. A lot of them, most of the time, they don't say no. They're like, oh yeah, no, yeah, cool, yeah, we'll be in touch, or we'll follow up. And you're walking out, and you're like, yeah, these ones get it. They understand. We're there now. We're there, and we're there. But you know, but again, all joking aside, there are other people where you can meet and they do actually get it. Yeah. They do really get it, but the timing-wise, it's not right for them. Or, you know, there's a lot of variables why, for me, people decide to move ahead or not. So, you know, it's not an easy thing, and catching the right person at the right time and them understanding what you're doing and then have the free capital to do it, you know, it's all, that's why I guess it's quite hard. You know, for me, I think the lady from Bird and Bird, I've forgotten her name because I'm a sleep-deprived dad, but, you know, the lady, thank you, Lara. So, she, like, I think appointing somebody like that, who's an expert, has access to people, they're invaluable in terms of, you know, the time it will save you, the distraction value. You know, yes, you pay them a fee of some type, but for me, some of the learning I've had is like appoint somebody to support you on it, because you've still got to execute on running your business. And again, for all we've had some success in that in our first year, we did that on the back of spending a lot of time trying to raise money. And you know, we could have been doing business as usual stuff to grow better. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it's great. It sounds like you just kind of were so committed to your vision that you weren't taking any of that personally. You were just, you know, going, what's the next step?
Yeah.
How do I get there? And I think that's super relevant for anyone in business, especially wellness, which is so saturated. You're going to come up against so many no's all the time. And I say this just even to my non-wellness clients, like, no means next opportunity. Yeah. How about you? Lots of no's?
Yeah. I mean, the irony is what you're saying is the minute you start to have success, or what looks like success, perceived success, people will start throwing money at you. You know, the minute you've done it before or look successful, you end up turning around going, no, we're not interested, we're not looking for. 3 years ago, you could have had it for nothing. You know, now, no way, I'm not interested at any price. Anyway, so it all comes around in the end. Yeah, loads of no's. I mean, in the case of us, we're selling food into stores, so yeah, it's buyers. You know, again, you might not get a no, you might just not get the phone picked up. You know, you can't get the meeting. It's just that opening doors, constantly. And it gets easier, but you just get different no's. There's always no's. Yeah, it's just part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So hiring and creating a company culture. Mm-hmm. Camilla, can you share more about how you've recruited and kind of positioned your business for growth, in particular the challenges of building a team that really believes in your vision?
Hugely easier once your company is representing its vision. So actually I do the sort of marketing brand side of the business. Once 7 years in, I'd got the branding to a point that I actually was like, this is it. I am happy. I love it. It's great. It was amazing. The whole business started to shift, and people could see and feel what the brand was, and it then automatically almost attracted the right kind of people. And certainly in the marketing team, I've never used a recruitment agency. We've always come through work experience, internships, or just direct applications. I mean, sometimes from adverts on LinkedIn or something, but we've done it all direct. At the beginning, it's much, much harder because you barely know who you are as a business and who you are. You don't have a culture until you've got some people, basically. So they create the culture. So you just need people who you believe in, who you feel get it, I think, and then you create the culture together. Well, we created the culture together. And it was just all about, I mean, for us it was relatively easy because it was in the name, being in Rude Health. So it was all about people who wanted to be in Rude Health. But yeah, yes, easier as it gets bigger. And it's a massive job. Actually, increasingly, that's a big part of my job. It was more brand, it's now more culture. We're now about 30 people, and actually looking after the brand is more about looking after the culture. Because if the people are getting it and enjoying it, then they'll do it right. But if I try and do it the other way, if I try and do the brand, when the team aren't happy, it won't work. So weirdly, it's now mostly culture.
Mm-hmm. And just to throw you on the spot, what are 3 words that you would use to describe your culture at Rude Health?
Bold, fun, determined.
Amazing.
I think.
Great. Awesome. And Joe, you currently employ a team of 10, but you've said that will grow to about 40 by the end of this year.
Yeah. So we're opening our first group and personal training facility in Manchester, and it's 10,000 square feet. I'm laughing so off. I was there the other day, and on when I looked at the plans, I didn't realise how big it would be. So I ended up signing up to this monstrous building that we need to fill now with customers. But yeah, basically we're opening our own 10,000 square feet facility in Manchester. It opens in September, and so as a result of that, we'll need all of our sort of front desk team, trainers. We're going to have all internal wellbeing coaches. So rather than just have freelance coaches who sort of come in and are agnostic to where they teach, we're going to have internal wellbeing coaches who take bloods and deliver health checks, and again just stick to everything that we've built with the digital, how we're working with corporates, all the same sort of principles really, making sure that it's a personalised experience. And the physical facility that we've built is again built around proactive and preventative health. So we've got a lot of people that we need to help us operate it, so quite a big step up over this next few months.
Yeah, and you're at this pivotal stage of growth. So what's this hiring process looking like for you, and how are you building that culture for yourself?
Yeah, so again, to me, I guess I'm lucky that for all the things I'm not good at, it's sort of this sort of stuff second nature, because I've grown up in, working for Virgin, where it's a very mission-driven business, and it was about the people internally. And after that, I worked for a great entrepreneur in the employee engagement space, and I guess I was always empowered to be able to make sure that the people strategy is at the centre of everything else that we do. So I've always been the person who takes the time to do first, second, third or final interviews and assessments, and so it's something that I'm really looking forward to, because I guess there's not quite a well-known saying that you're going to get a culture whether you want one or not. So it's really important that you get this stuff right, and you really take the time to don't do anything. It's not an exact science, but with as much as you can see, take a lot of time to get this stuff right, and try and make sure you don't do anything to disrupt the culture that you're building.
My other favourite one, you're talking of sayings, is hire people who are better than you.
Yeah.
Because it's so, you get, hopefully not better than you at everything, but, it's just brilliant working with people who can do stuff or get stuff that you don't get.
The irony
really
in that being one of the only things I'm good at, I guess, but my roles have always been generalists, so I'm always recruiting specialists, and so I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And how does that word hero play into this culture? What does that mean for you?
Yes, it's a really great question. So I'll tell you what it's not. It's not like superhero, sort of Marvel Universe, even though I'm a geek and a big fan of that stuff. It's just, it's more around, the sentiment of hero is it's a positive, action-orientated word. It sort of infers the best version of yourself that then has a positive impact on society. So I guess that sort of represents a lot of what we believe. So we think that, people sort of get guilt around investing in themselves and in their own health, but actually when you invest in yourself to make sure you do feel well and you do feel the best version of yourself, you're then brilliant for your family, you're then brilliant at work, everyone sort of flourishes as a result. So I guess it just sort of represents that really.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So that leads me on to differentiation and that sort of X factor that every business sort of aims to embody. So for you, Camilla, given the landscape of wellness has changed significantly since you launched, how important has it been to innovate and adapt during the time that Rude Health has been around? And how do you decide which trends are the ones that you should pay attention to?
So I think what we've learned to do is to be ourselves. And we look around loads and we see what everyone else is doing all the time. But as we've been Rude Health longer, we've known and felt more and more what that means and what Rude Health would do next, regardless of what the next big trend is. If that isn't us, then we're not going to do it. And the other thing is, because we all love eating and drinking. Everyone thinks we're all kind of hardcore health nuts, but actually we just love eating and drinking, whether that's cooking, going out, whatever. So we're all over food all the time. It's what we talk about. So we don't look at trend data at all. We buy no trend data at all. We know what we want to do, and then it's a question of, do we think that might be what's going on? You know, is this just us going off on one that's a bit random and probably won't land? And that then ties in with, we do a lot of innovation. That's sort of our thing, is doing a lot of it. Some of it will land and some of it won't, and that's part of the business strategy now. So when we did the dairy-free drinks, which are now our biggest seller by a long way, we had no idea that they were going to be any bigger than anything else. We just felt like we felt like dairy-free drinks was changing from an area that was rather allergen-based, rather free from and a bit miserable, into something that was becoming a bit more lifestyle, a little bit more enjoyable, and it completely tied in with our brand values. You know, we were all about, it's got to taste good, the ingredients have got to be great, and it's got to look like you actually want to consume it. So it was just ticked every single box, and it flew. But, you know, we've done other things where we've been totally excited about them, and it's just not ever really going to be a very big niche, but you know, that's fine. So I don't know whether that answers the question or not, but it's kind of just knowing who we are, and sometimes it lands better than others.
Yes, so like fitting the trend through the lens of what the brand values really are.
And we're in it for the long term, so we're not forced to, you know, we don't have to return on investment tomorrow. We can sit it out and say, no, it's not right. We don't have to do anything we don't believe in. We can wait. If it sits next year or the year after, that's fine. As long as we're not, you know, as long as it's still growing and doing the right thing, we'll do what we believe in, which is I'm actually really lucky that we can do that.
Brilliant, thank you for your insights. Jo, the workplace wellness market is currently valued at $48 billion globally, so that's fantastic, but also highly competitive. So how conscious are you of this competitive landscape now and also before you were launching and obviously thinking about bringing this vision to life?
Yeah, so I guess for us, we, if we'd have just wanted to create a business where, right, okay, let's create a really attractive business that investors will love, and we can exit it in 5 years or 10 years or do rounds, whatever we want to do. That's sort of one philosophy. Everything that we've created, everything that we do is around trying to take on the mammoth task of impacting people's health. So if that is the starting point, genuinely trying to have an impact, so that means it's not about ticking the box, it's not about building the very best margin, it's not about sort of, having a facade of something that's there to help and it actually doesn't. It's about everything that we've done has been to try and have a genuine impact on people. So all of our core pillars and the things that we work on are all built around actions or things that we feel will help people. So I guess that was the starting point. And the other thing was trying to have an impact on people's health. Well, personalisation has got to be the centre of it because we've all got different health needs. Community, making sure that, you know, once we do understand ourselves more, how we know that if we can find people who have a similar interest or at a similar level and we can work on things together, we're way more likely to adopt that behaviour and continue to do it. We know that achievement, you know, we like to think we're sort of really sophisticated humans, but in actual fact we're quite primitive animals that respond to positive and negative reinforcement. So if you can find ways to help people no matter what level they're at, find a certain level of achievement, that's really important. And then lastly, it sounds strange, but focusing on health. I know we're a wellness company and we're saying it's about health, but what I mean by that is it's not about fitness and it's not about, fads like a month off social media, but then, before you're on social media, afterwards you're on social media, it's about meaningful long-term change for people. So with all of that in mind, I guess what we're trying to do, we know that, we know it's broad. We know that, it's going to take working with partners. So we don't try and just be like, heroes over here and, we're out to get all the other big players out there. We actually think that anybody who's out there sort of impacting people's lives for the good is a great thing. And as a result of that, we've managed to find really great partners, people that should have never been interested in us have wanted to partner them. We've integrated their technology into ours, or we've worked with them on a partnership level and we've referred business to them because it really complements what we're doing. So I guess the modern approach to this stuff for me is about keeping true to your mission, I think, as you rightly said, but then, genuinely trying to focus and always remain focused on impacting what you set out to do, impacting the company, impacting the individual in terms of their health. So yeah.
So before I open it to a Q&A with you guys, I'm going to ask one more question. So think of your question that you want to ask if you're someone who knows that you would like to. So you're both parents, right?
Yeah.
So as people who are juggling entrepreneurship with raising families, which must be really difficult, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who are really unsure that they're going to be able to juggle that? And how does that kind of contrast between the two worlds influence the way that you run your businesses?
So yeah, well, I found it really good in a way, because I think starting a business is obsessive, but also actually bringing up children in its own way. It's relentless rather than obsessive, but it at least means you're doing two things, sort of relentless, obsessive. But you've got and the children don't half bring you back down to earth. You know, if your head's lost in a spreadsheet or whatever it is. So actually, in a bizarre way, it kind of works. And I don't know, in a way, you can't, but starting a business is like having a baby. Again, you can't describe what it's like. I don't think you can really plan for it. You just launch in and then you cope and learn along the way, I think. But don't worry about it. I think don't overthink it. Just go and see what happens. And it will be an interesting ride.
Amazing. You've made me feel better about my future. Thank you.
I wish I could have got this advice a year ago. But yeah, no, I think for me, and I don't know if this is the right answer, but for me, I always try to make sure that I know myself and how sort of relentlessly focused I am. So I always make sure I put my family first. So I always try and say, like, you know, I know well in advance when parents' evening is, or when sports day is, or when all of these things happening are. And because there will never be a good time, you'll always be busy, there'll always be something. So I have to really think ahead and forward plan these things. So I really try to do that. And I'm about 95% there. There's the occasional thing where I've had to sort of, you know, I've not been able to make something, and then you know, just manage around it. And I guess if it's just a personal commitment where, you know, if you are a parent, if you are like a budding entrepreneur and you are a parent, just be aware that will take up most of your time. So something's got to give. You know, there's not going to be much time for something else. So make friends with some parents, some other adult conversation away from work to talk to people. But yeah, no, it's going to take up most of your time. Because even when you love it, I mean, it's really great to hear your story. But even when you love what you do, and even when you really do love it, it's really hard. You know, you're doing it every day. It's really can be tough.
And I'm doing it with my husband.
Yeah.
So there is no escape. I mean, there is now. It's really different. 13, 14 years in, it's actually really different. And now I feel like, oh, this is what I started it for.
So just another 10 years to go.
It might be a bit quicker.
That's right, it's good.
Oh, amazing. That was awesome. Thank you. So, guys, I'd like to open it up to questions if anyone has anything to ask these amazing entrepreneurs. Yeah, thanks.
Hi. This is probably a question for Joe, probably Camilla as well. But what are the three things that kind of would you say resulted in your like exponential growth in the first year?
Oh, it's okay. So what are the three things that you would say contributed to your exponential growth in your business in the last year? Because obviously you've only been going for a year.
Well, first of all, it's not as exponential as I'd like. I just want to make that clear. But I guess the things that contributed, so I'm really lucky, not particularly talented at anything, but I've had a really fortunate career. I've worked in great companies, always known I wanted to start a business, and I've always told myself, wherever I'm learning, wherever I'm growing, stay doing what you're doing, and when you feel the opportunity comes, go for it. I chose to have 4 children when that moment came, which is another story, but you know, like that's what happened. And I guess as a result of that, I'm really fortunate that I'm not sort of a just starting out entrepreneur. I've, you know, been in lots of businesses. I sold a business with a management team for 200 million in 2015. So really lucky to have been around a lot of talented people over my career. So I guess when you're starting out, I'm on the front foot because I've picked up some scars along the way in terms of some of my own learning. And then I guess from then on, it's back to my other point around knowledge and execution. So you can have all the best ideas in the world. There's some brilliant ideas out there. Yeah. But if you don't know how to execute on those ideas, cash is king, sales is king, because you can be really philosophical and you can really go back to your mission from a position of strength if you've got cash flow and you've got sales and, you know, you're growing. So, you know, that's to me, some of the really important things, and that's what we focused on. We still every day came in and, knew what the mission was, but we just tried to be really executional and focus on making sure we can get to a position of stability as quickly as possible, really. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hi, Joe. Sorry, I have one question. How long before you jumped ship from your last job did you start preparing to sort of launch your own business, and how much?
So basically, I resigned from a company called Reward Gateway. I was the MD there, the business I just mentioned that we'd sold for 200 million, and I was about to start the company. So I was like, I'd appointed some developers, and we were like running through the idea. And then basically a company called WeWork, I don't know if you've heard of them, they approached me and asked me to be their MD. So
I've heard of WeWork.
yeah, well, you never know. You'd be like, hey, WeWork, so I don't know. Which they're obviously a phenomenal company. They've had amazing successes, and again, like I say, I've been really lucky. They approached me to be their MD for the UK. So I was like, I want to change the world, but there's WeWork. Can the world wait a year and see how this goes? Yeah, it probably can. So I decided to do that. But what was great was at WeWork, and even though it was a very busy time, I still had a lot of, my personal time to be thinking about things. And that really helped me refine some of the thinking around what I wanted to do. So, for example, we work with corporates, and we do sort of corporate wellbeing strategies with digital and services. But from my time at WeWork, it sort of helped me understand, well, actually, is a residential block or an office or a retirement village or a student accommodation, is that not the same thing? Are we not sort of personalising a strategy and trying to impact health for that building? And you work with the operator just like you would a company. So it's things like that I guess I learned from that last year. But it's really Jerry Maguire moment. I went on holiday with the kids, and I've always been sort of pretty measured in what I do. And I went on holiday with the kids, playing with it in the water thing with them, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? It's like, and then I have a very understanding wife. Had a chat to her. I was like, I need to just do this. And again, WeWork, if you do know, it's a very inspiring place because the company's had a lot of success. But actually, the real inspiration is the people you meet every day. There's entrepreneurs in the building, and there's some really phenomenal people. So I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And then luckily, my wife was like, yeah, no problem. I'll back you. And so I did, yeah, and then went for it from there. No worries.
Well, we've got time for probably one more question.
Thank you. This has been so interesting. Camilla, you talked about doing a friends and family round, and I'm just wondering, in both of your journeys, when you're getting started, you're obsessive and you're focused on things. Things are really in your head and heart, I suppose. When you take outside money, at what point is it dangerous to do that or safe to do that? Because my idea of this is that as soon as you take some kind of angel or any kind of investment, those people have a voice in what you're doing. And there's probably a time where it's too early to take something like that. Just wondering what your thoughts are.
I think it's a really interesting question, and I honestly don't think there's a right answer, because people set up very successful businesses with funding, with no money of their own. And, for me personally, I would find that's too much pressure. I want to feel like I'm made it work a bit. I've proved the concept before I take any money on, so that they're buying into something that they can actually see. But that's just who I am. So I mean, the only thing I can say is it's when you feel that you're okay with taking that money. And obviously, does your business really, really need it? Because it's so flattering if someone says, yeah, we're going to give you $1 million. You're like, woohoo, and it's really easy to burn through $1 million, or not very much. So it's that for me, that's the combination. When does it feel right for you, and what do you need it for?
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. And I would say, for me personally, I think the only stuff I'm really lucky I can sort of compartmentalise things, and the only things that keep me awake at night are like the sense of responsibility you've got for people who have believed in you. So I think that's not just investors. It's like, my COO resigned. He's a multiple MD of, he's a really big league MD of lots of businesses. He's got children. He resigned to do this startup. I'm like, responsible to make sure this is worthwhile for him, and then the rest of the team who joined, and then the investors, and then the clients who are believing us in our first year when we're not perfect. So I guess that sense of responsibility is, I guess you either got that or you haven't. And for me, it's just like, that's the things that, I guess I'm one of those people where if you put your name next to something or you give your word to do something, whether, you've got to do your best in your ability to do that. That could be for your investors or your people.
Brilliant
Actually, the
question.
hardest thing is making people redundant, I think. That is the worst, most, because of that responsibility thing. It's the biggest, it's literally, I have failed, is the feeling, I think, because it's gone wrong and they're paying and it's your fault.
Yeah.
That's, for me, is the worst thing, which I don't want to do.
But I think, though, you've clearly done a great job with your business, and there's these twists and turns that you just don't know around the corner, and you have to make good people redundant. That's sometimes what it takes to make the business survive. It's
Absolutely.
heartbreaking, but there's things you've got to do. It's the reality of how it goes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us, and thank you to both of you for sharing and being so authentic as well. So, yeah, it was fantastic. Awesome.